Hey, everybody. This is Cynthia Barnes, founder and CEO of the National Association of Women Sales Professionals. And today I am here with a Warrior Woman Spotlight with Lori Halligan. Halligan. I mispronounced your name. I am so sorry. Lori, how are you?
I'm good. Very good. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. So tell us, I know that you're a member of NAWSP. Tell us
Yes.
about you. What do you currently do?
So I am an enterprise software sales account executive for a company called Appian. They are headquartered right outside of DC in Tysons, Virginia. And I was brought on to really try to break into the market here in the Midwest states. So I'm based in Kansas City. So I cover Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, and really just trying to get some additional revenue for the company in this area. We have a few customers, but not as many as they have on the East Coast. So I basically 2020 has been at Appian, but I've been in the enterprise software sales space for close to 20 years now.
Okay, very good. So
Yeah.
what did you sell before your current role?
Sure. Yeah. So a couple years before I joined Appian, I was with a company called ServiceNow. So probably a lot of people have heard of that. So I was there for about 2 years. And then before that, I spent some time, about 5 years before joining ServiceNow, at a couple of different governance, risk, and compliance companies. So Metric Stream, and then also RSA Archer. And I also, before that, spent some time at EMC and really got my start in sales at a company called Perceptive Software. Now it has actually been acquired a couple of times. It was acquired by Lexmark, and then one of their competitors, Highland Software, actually acquired them a couple years ago. So that was really where I spent the first about 10 years of my sales career, was in the kind of enterprise content management space and selling to higher education. So,
Okay.
But I love it. I love
I can tell.
software and being able to help people solve their business challenges and really have an impact.
Yes, I can tell that you enjoy it. What
Yes.
do you think is the best part about being in sales?
For me, it's the relationships that you build. Obviously, you can have great technology, but a bigger piece of that is really building relationships, building trust, and then being able to obviously deliver what a customer is looking for. But I pride myself on the strong relationships that I have secured over time. And I have, customers from 10, 15 years ago that I still sometimes occasionally interact with on LinkedIn, or I'm Facebook friends with. So it's, for me, much more than selling something. It is, really that understanding people and building those relationships and understanding how I can help them in their business. And then in turn, sometimes that also helps people progress in their career as they are looking to bring on transformational software, especially, now that's very, very important. And this whole year has just, everyone's had to pivot and think about things that we never really thought about before with COVID. So
That is true. That is
yeah.
true. So October is Women in Sales Month,
Yeah.
and I know what you like about selling. What do you like about being a woman in sales, especially enterprise sales, because there aren't a lot of you?
I know there are not. Yes, it's I do love connecting with women, and that's why when actually I met you a couple, I guess it would have been maybe last March at it was in Kansas City, and you spoke, and I was like, I have to be part of this organization, because I definitely love the idea of empowering other women, because like you said, I have been in roles where it's in some cases you're in a meeting with 35 men and you.
Yes.
And so it's always for me important to lift other women up, but especially in this field, because we definitely have a lot to offer. So one of the things that really drew me to the company that I'm at today was the culture of the company. They are very focused on their people. They want people to have good lives, and just everything I read and researched, and then as I started talking to people at the company, it was the same story. It wasn't like one thing you read online and then you start talking to people and hearing different things. And the other piece of it is that my regional vice president is a woman, and my area vice president is a woman, and then our VP over the sales organization that I belong to is also a woman. Wow. So that inspires me to see women being successful and having those role models to follow. So, and one of the reasons that part of why I joined Metric Stream when I joined them is they had a female CEO, and she recently wrote a book, and it's amazing, and it's just connections with other women that I love, because I think we all have encountered some of the same challenges along the way. But it's that perseverance and keep going, supporting each other to achieve what you want to achieve.
Yes. Yeah. I see on your shelf behind you that you are an avid reader. What are you currently reading?
Actually right now, so I just finished the book that I was mentioning. It was Unapologetically Ambitious by Shelley Archambault, and she was the former CEO of Metric Stream, but she also serves on the board at Verizon and a couple other companies, and just a phenomenal leader. I was lucky enough to actually get to bring her to some of my sales calls, so I feel even more fortunate. But that is one that I'm reading right now. I'm not sure. I'm finishing that up. I'm not sure what's next on my list, but between my husband and I, and he's also in the software sales industry. So,
nice.
So that's good. Yeah.
That is good. That is good. We talk a lot about mentorship in NAWSP. Do you have a mentor?
So I think about this sometimes. I haven't officially ever asked the people that I consider my mentor, will you be my mentor? But I have kind of that network of people, my go-to when I'm looking for professional advice. But they're also very close friends of mine. So my very first manager that I had that got me really into sales, I was kind of in a telesales role, and she was the first person that promoted me more to kind of that field position. And so not only did she give me that opportunity in sales, and really that's what I credit for, then being able to continue my career. But we became very good friends, and she's my son's godmother. And then I have another gal that I worked with that she's a vice president of another company, but she came into Perceptive Software. I had been there for several years, and she was brought in as another sales manager. And so I ended up reporting to her, and just one of the best and most phenomenal leaders that I've ever had of really, we're in this together. How can I help you? It's not like, when is this PO coming in? Of course, those questions get asked, but it was more, how do we bring this in, or how do we move this forward? And really that strategic relationship. And again, one of the people that I now call a friend, but she ended up pulling me along with her to a couple other companies. And when she goes to a new company, she will always, come to me if she has an opening, like, are you interested? So, those are two that I really consider, kind of my go-to mentors, I would say. But then just being part of this group, I love all of the information that is part of this group, and being able to read and listen to what other women say, because I think we never want to stop learning and stop trying. We always want to continue to try to hone the craft and learn from one another. And so that's kind of how I go about it, I guess.
So let's talk about your daily routine. I'm a huge fan of habits of successful women. So tell us about, what do you do when you first get up?
When I first get up, so I have a almost 8-year-old son. So there's obviously that's kind of getting him off and to school finally, now that they're back in school. But once I get to the point where I'm actually looking at my day, I have been trying to go through and kind of the night before really write down some key things that maybe I didn't finish the day before or I know are on my list, just so I can keep focused and not get sidetracked with other things. But I do like to initially just start off my day with different news, sales news information about companies. So either companies I subscribe to Owler, and that is great. It gives you, just a good snapshot, and you can see if there's something going on in a company that either I'm working with as a customer or I want to bring on as a client. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you need to understand what's going on in their business to be relevant and to be able to help them. So I spend a good portion, probably about an hour, just kind of going through the various news feeds that I get, looking at LinkedIn, looking internally in our CRM, because we have some news feeds coming in there. Mm-hmm. And then really start kind of planning, depending on what kind of calls I have. I also find that really blocking time off on my calendar for things that I know I need to do, because if I don't, the day will get away from me and I will just, it will end up getting pushed. So I have found that that is something for me. I just put that as a meeting in my calendar of, whether it's I'm working on a strategic account plan and I have, from 11 to 12, this is what I'm going to do. And so that's a lot of it, because I am selling, software that really is enterprise wide, and we're trying to sell into very large organizations. And so my role, other than, when calls and demos and things get scheduled, obviously that's a big part of it, but the research piece is huge. And I think that that's where it's what separates a good salesperson from a mediocre, is the amount of research, and then the amount of, prepping also with internal stakeholders. And so I have recurring meetings with the various teams across my company, whether that's, sales consultants, or we have some industry leads. And then obviously some of our leadership team to really, at least every other week, we're touching base, this kind of going through the account plan. This is what's going on. And then being able to delegate, and then also engage with our partners that might also have business relationships. So that research piece for me is a huge part of my daily activity. So, yeah.
Yes. What about work-life balance? A lot of women say that it's just not possible. What say you?
Yeah, so I do think that is a struggle. And this year, I have to say that has been probably even more challenging than ever before, which everyone encountered that, just trying to figure out how to balance our own workload. And then when we were doing virtual learning with my son, he was not at an age where he was going to take ownership and sit there. And so it was a little challenging from time to time, but we, my husband and I are good about trying to understand what's going on in each other's day. So if I happen to be really swamped with meetings and things like that, then, he would say, okay, I'll take I'll sit with him for this amount of time for virtual stuff. But I do think that it is very important to, and I actually have to do this sometimes, is just put the phone down, put the laptop down, and try to be present, because it is challenging. And I think my husband and I both find ourselves doing that, but especially now my son is getting older, so he isn't home as much, which gives us more time to do other things. But when he is home, then I want to make sure that I'm not distracted by, looking at my phone and checking emails and stuff like that. But I think it's absolutely, I think that it is something you can do, but I think that it's important to set expectations for yourself of what is your, I am not going to look at my phone from this time to this time, and I'm going to be completely present, 100% focused on my family at that time. But also it's important to kind of set that with colleagues as well, because maybe it's my son goes to swimming and it's like, I'm not gonna, I've done evening calls before, but I think it's important to be able to say that you have that boundary and this is not something I'll do. We'll catch up tomorrow.
Exactly.
So
yeah, setting those boundaries is important. After all, our loved ones don't want 100% of our time. They just want 100% of our attention.
Exactly.
With them, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
Right. One last question for you, Miss Lori.
Yeah.
What is your intention in life? How do you want to be remembered at the end of your life?
That's a good question. I think, the most important thing for me, and I mentioned it before, is just relationships. And so I want to be remembered as, being someone that always puts, I always put people first. I'm not going to do something that could potentially hurt someone to try to manipulate something and do something from a business perspective. At the end of the day, it's important that you have strong relationships. You build those relationships with people. You're keeping your integrity and your, trust with the people that you interact with, whether it's your family, your coworkers, or your, customers or prospects. So I think for me, it's being able to bring to the table the background and the education that I have, but then also just really my ability to build those strong relationships and be able to be a person with those people first. Because I think sometimes we get, especially in sales, we kind of forget to just take a breath and be a person first and talk. And especially with, I think with COVID, that has been even more apparent, is just checking in. How are you doing? Not, I'm trying to sell you something, but really, are you okay? Do you need anything? Those types of things.
Are you safe? Things like that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, Lori, this has been a true pleasure, and I promise to keep you to 15 minutes, and here you are. So thank you so much for your time. I'm so glad that you are a member of NAWSP, and look forward to seeing you in our tribe at nawsptribe.com. And if there's ever anything you need, just let me know.
Perfect. Thank you, Cynthia. I appreciate it.
We'll talk soon.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.